Hello, this is AICE Math, transformations. So basically we can have a function y equals f of x, and that's how we can define a function. Well, transformations basically say, hey, we can change this function, so like we could do a translation, a rotation, a reflection, or dilation. However, in AICE Math, reflections and rotations really aren't tested because they don't care about them, so we'll only look at translations and dilations. So for translations, we have y equals f of x plus k, where a positive value for k is up. And then for a horizontal shift, we can have f of x minus h plus k, not plus k, x minus h, where a positive value for h is to the right. So notice how the value here, there's negative in front of that h. Make sure you watch out for this. So let's say we had f of x plus 3. This means h equals negative 3, so this is a 3 left shift. So that's translations. Whereas for dilations, we can have f of y equals kf of x. So this would be a k stretch. And then a y equals f of 1 over kx. This would be a k stretch. Well, this is in the vertical, the other one is in the horizontal. So notice how, once again, there's a 1 over k here. If we had y equals f of 5x, this would be a compression of a factor of 5. Compression of 5. So notice how the x's are always flipped. Make sure to watch out for that because they will try to trick you on that. And another thing is there are things called rotations and reflections. But it's really not necessary because for rotations or reflections, you really only need to reflect them around the x or y axis. And the x or y axis, if we rotate it in the x axis, we're negating the value of y, so we can just say y equals negative f of x for the x axis. Whereas for the y axis, we're just negating the value of x, so y equals f of negative x. So you can pretty much work your way around needing to learn rotations and reflections, and it's pretty much worthless. So typically AICE exams will only test you on trigonometric functions for transformations. So we'll look at a trigonometric function. So this is the trigonometric function sine of x, and this is the one that we're looking for. Well, we know that the sine here has gone down 3 units. And if you look at every other point on the equilibrium, this is what this middle line is called, it's all shifted down 3. So you can say 3 down in the vertical, or we can say in the direction parallel to the y-axis. But I'm just going to say y. 3 down in the y, so you can say this is y equals sine of x minus 3. But now another thing we can look at is that each point, like we can see this only stretches to 2, but this stretches to 6. Sorry, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this stretches to 4. So you can see that the graph has generally been stretched by a factor of 2. So we can say this is a 2 stretch, or stretch by a factor of 2 in the y direction. So you can say this is y equals 2 sine of x minus 3. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Typically, the order does matter. So look at, if you ever find your final answer, just like graph it one more time, because it definitely does help. So 2 sine of x minus 3, that's just the sine of x doubled pretty much, and then shifted down 3. So that does give our value. But the order does matter, and on the AICE exam, they'll be like, hey, make sure you list the order in which these transformations are done. And that does make sense because if we like shift it down by 1, but then we dilate it by 3, then from our original graph, we're shifting it down by 3. So make sure you don't make that mistake. But that's transformations. Thank you so much.